Hi, welcome to the Corner of Knit and Tea, episode 48. I'm Laura, also known as Fluffy K on Ravelry, Fluffy Kira on Instagram and Twitter. I blog, and this episode's show notes will be over at thecornerofknitandtea.com. I have an Etsy shop called The Stash Buckler Adventures in Yarn, where I sell my handspun yarns. And we have a Ravelry group called The Corner of Knit and Tea. If you haven't joined, please come over and join us. So hi, welcome to episode 48. I feel like it has been forever since I have seen you, and it has been almost 3 weeks since I last recorded. So I guess that is sort of like forever. I hope that you have been having a wonderful time. We actually did some traveling. For those of you who follow my Instagram feed, there have been lots of photos. The first thing that we did is we went on a trip with my in-laws and my nephew to Colorado. And we went whitewater rafting, and we went through Royal Gorge and saw the Royal Gorge Bridge and took a train in there. And I even met up with my college roommate who lives in Colorado Springs, and we did a little yarn shopping. So that was the trip was about a 5-day weekend. And then I went back to work for a couple days, and I had hoped to record, and I do apologize. We just got home, and I had laundry, and I had all kinds of things to do, and before I knew it, it was time to leave again, because then last weekend, I spent a 4-day weekend in Chicago with my sister and her husband and Miss Roxy, and it was a fabulous weekend, although not a lot of sleep was had. Miss Roxy enjoys getting up at 4:45 and 5:30. Those were pretty much the times we started each day, and Aunt Laura needed a nap when Roxy took her nap. But I had a wonderful time playing with her. She is just amazing right now. She is just a little sponge. She picks up anything and everything, and she is full of fun, wanting to color and run around and go play outside and play games inside and build with her Duplo blocks, and we had a great time. So then I came home, and it was a week full of work, and there have been some other exciting things going on, which I will talk a little bit about at the end of the podcast. So it has just been a very, very full 3 weeks since I have seen you, and I have many things to show you. Also, today is approximately the 1-year anniversary of the podcast. I looked back, and the first podcast that I released was on August 3rd, which technically is tomorrow, but I'm calling it close enough for the 1-year anniversary. So it is exciting. I never thought when I started out that I would be quite this far along. And I have come and talked to you almost every week. We're in episode 48, so I've missed a couple weeks, but pretty good on average for the year, and I am super, super excited. There will be some giveaway prizes, which I will also talk about later in the podcast, so please do stay tuned. And again, I just want to say thank you for joining me this far through the last year. I have had a wonderful time doing the podcast, and it's so exciting to be able to share everything. And it has been a privilege to meet all of you and get to see your podcasts and what you're working on. And so many of you, too many to name, that I have become friends with. And so I just want to say thank you. If this is your first time tuning in, that was a lot, but this is a fun podcast. This will be a little bit longer than the usual podcasts because this is a big catch-up episode and a little special, but we will get back to the routine shortly. So I hope that you're enjoying, and thank you for joining me today. So let's get into the format of the podcast, which is first what I am sipping. I have sipped this one before. This is my second packet from a swap of Stash Sunny Orange Ginger, and I really liked this one, and I saw the second packet, and I usually try new things, but today I really just wanted to do this one again. But I do have a new cup to share with you. Several weeks ago, Isolde Teague, who is a prolific knitting designer. I follow her on Instagram and on her blog. She posted about the pottery of Anna Wright, and most notably, this really adorable sheepy mug called Knitting Circle. And you can actually see it says the knitting circle, and there is also a sheep in the bottom, but I'm not going to show you that right now because there's tea in there. But she posted about this, and I thought, gosh, I just have to have that. It is fine bone china. It is available from Anna Wright in the United, I think she's in Scotland. But I will post a link in the show notes. It was not terribly expensive. It arrived very quickly. And I just absolutely love the sheep with the argyle and all the different patterns. This is destined to become a favorite. So this is Sunny Orange Ginger in my Anna Wright Knitting Circle mug. So that is what I'm sipping today. And that is just delicious. I added a little bit of sugar, but it is definitely orange and some ginger. And I just really like this one. I may have to actually buy a box of this because this is just a great one. And as you know, my tea box overfloweth. So I have lots to show you, things that I have finished in the last 3 weeks. I did do a lot of spinning for the Tour de Fleece, so there will be lots of that. But I managed to get a bunch of knitting done too, so let's go right into that. The first thing that I finished, I believe I had the first toe done and was gearing up for the heel, are my socks. These are a combination of the Vanilla Bean striped sock pattern by Emily O'Grady, which is a freebie on Ravelry, and that is the slipped stitch pattern. Basically, I just adopted the slipped stitch and then I went ahead and did my socks how I always do them. So I had my rounded toe, and then I had my fish lips kiss heel, and then a 2x2 ribbing up at the top, and like I said, just incorporated that stitch pattern. This yarn is Vesper, which is self-striping sock yarn by Knitterly Things. I went ahead and used some basic black that I had in my stash. I think it was Dale Baby Uli, but I'm not 100% sure. I just hated to break up the stripes, so I decided to use that. This is the colorway Isla, which is exciting because she had posted the yarn, a picture of the yarn, and asked for name suggestions, and actually Isla was my suggestion, and the skein of sock yarn itself was free. It was a prize for suggesting the winning name. So these are Vesper in Isla. If you remember, I made matching socks for Roxy, and I got a photo of her sock and one of my socks. It wasn't quite done, but close, and that just kind of tickled me. The skein is very generous. I have small feet. Roxy has small feet. I still have a small portion of the skein left, so I may use it for my Cozy Memories blanket. But that is those socks. Those are done and ready to go in the books. So that was the first thing I finished. The second thing I finished was my Camp Loopy. Now, if you remember, I was off to a bit of a rough start. I started knitting a tank top that I just really struggled with, and I ended up throwing it aside, and actually I will be picking it up for Camp Loopy 3 and modifying some things. I will talk more about that next week because I haven't actually started it yet, even though Camp Loopy 3, it was legal to cast on yesterday. August 1st. So I will be doing that. But what I decided to do instead was a shawl that I had been planning. The shawl pattern is Melancholy by Lori Woodward, and the yarn that I wanted to use was a gradient kit from Frabjous Fibers. It's the Cheshire let me look at this. The Cheshire Cat mini skein, and the colorways were Too Much Pepper. And then I paired it with some Mad Tosh, Tosh Merino Light in Antler, and then a little bit in Tart, and I finished it. So this is the shawl. It is a shallow shawl, very wide, wider than my wingspan, and I played with the striping pattern just a little bit. Because of the gradient, I varied things just a little bit from the original pattern, but it's more or less the original pattern, and it will be absolutely cozy. It's too warm for this today, but I do absolutely love it. I think it will be great for an outfit. And then I added a little bit of the tart at the end, because I just wanted a little bit of a red pop. So there are pictures of this on Instagram. I finished it this week just in time for Camp Loopy 2 to post that. Again, I'm not officially playing Camp Loopy because I am knitting from stash from home, and to be official and eligible for prizes, you have to purchase from the Loopy U over the summer. So this summer I am doing what I call my Camp Loopy wannabe and knitting along from stash at home. But that is my shawl finished, and I also entered this in the Around Your Neck Cal in the Suburban Stitcher podcast group. So I am double and triple dipping as much as I can, and this is going to be a great shawl in the fall. So if you have any questions, the details are on my project page. But again, this is Melancholy by Lori Woodward. So that is the second project done and off the needles. I realized just a day or so ago that I had not knit a July charity hat. As many of you remember, I started this year with a goal to knit charity hats for children and do one a month, so that when the cold months roll around, October, November, December, I will have a nice stock of them ready to go. This time I chose to do the Pearl Soho Classic Cuffed hat. So it is just a long ribbed cuff, and then basically just a beanie hat, and then you just fold the ribbed cuff up. It called for a huge pom-pom. I did not have enough yarn to do so. This is the leftover Cascade 220 in the Forest Heather Green that I used for a baby sweater, but this is done and ready to add to the bag. So that is July's hat, and now I will just need to figure out what to do with August, and I'm actually running short on leftovers of things that could be used for hats requiring minimal care. So that I will need to look into that this month, but this is July's hat, and I think I have about 8 hats now, maybe 9. I doubled up a couple months, so I'm super pleased with it, and that is on its way, so just a little bit extra. So that brings me to what's on the needles. I only have one more project on the needles, if you don't count my Cozy Memories blanket, which hasn't seen any love for several weeks, and probably won't see any love for several weeks more because of some other stuff that I'm going to be doing, and I'll talk about that. So the only thing that I still have on the needles is the Zigzag Scarf. That is by Christy Cam, and I started that as my Rainbow Long project and my Love Wins project for the Supreme Court decision on June 26th, declaring that anyone is able to marry in the United States. So this is the Zigzag Scarf, and I am using 2 colorways of Noro Silk Garden Sock. As you can see, I am getting very, very close. Not quite close enough. I had hoped to finish this weekend and start August off with a clean slate, but this will be coming along. I got lots of work in on this at various points. I want to say the last time I talked to you, I might have been like around this pink part. We went through the blues, which I loved, and then a little bit of this red, and then hot pink and charcoal grays, and going back through, and I am here. The scarf itself is not my wingspan yet. I'm hoping to get there. I don't know if I will, but it is super fun, and every section I knit, I think, ooh, that's my new favorite. Ooh, that's my new favorite. Ooh, that's my new favorite. So this has been an absolutely amazingly fun project, and I am excited for it. So I will post some final measurements when I get there, but I still have a little ways to go. So, but I'm proud with my progress on that, and I should finish that this month, I hope. Like I said, the plan was to try and finish it before August started, but I'm just not sure I'm going to get through that because, well, it's already August, and that's a little bit much. I probably won't get through that this afternoon when I knit. So that is that. Coming up, I'm going to cast on for Camp Loopy 3. I was working on that tank top pattern, and I decided I'm going to do a different sweater pattern and then incorporate the motif at the bust. So you will be seeing that. I will cast on for that this week and hopefully make some good progress and have something to show you next week. I have a skein of yarn that needs to be knit up into socks. So I have that wound and ready to go, and I need to start that. And then the other project that I'm going to tackle this month, which is part of some news that I'll discuss in just a second, is I am potentially going to start designing a little bit, and I am working on a shawl design with some hand spun. So one of the things that happened during the break was a few days before I went on my first vacation, I was contacted by a marketing company and asked if I would want to review some products on my blog and on my podcast. And one of the first things they wanted to send me was some fiber to spin, and I am just about done doing that. So next week I will actually add a new segment on the podcast, which will be a review section where I will discuss what was sent to me and how I felt about it, and show you lots of finished items with some discussion. So that is a segment that is going to be coming. And actually the sock yarn that I need to knit into a pair of socks was also something for review. So I will be working on that. And like I said, the discussion also meandered a little bit towards whether or not I would be interested in designing something. So I am working on a lot of things, and I am super, super excited about this. And I just have been crazy busy thinking and doing sketches and rearranging my knitting schedule and what was already in my queue to knit and spin so that I can work in these other things. And it has been a ball. I have been having a blast doing this, and I hope that I will be able to share that with you in the coming podcasts, more about what I'm working on and some things that I'm reviewing. So please tune in next week for the start of that segment. So while we were gone, Tour de Fleece concluded. That is the Spinners event that goes along with Tour de France, which this year ran July 4th to July 26th. Unfortunately, I was traveling quite a bit during that time, so I did not get as much done as I wanted, but actually I did a really respectable showing for me. So I shouldn't complain at all. The first thing that I can show you is what I was working on when last we spoke. That was the beautiful sweater quantity of yarn, and oops, I lost one. Skein down, so I'll just show you two, but they're all the same, so it's not really a big deal. This was the yarn that I was spinning in a sweater quantity, and it is Hello Yarn. It is a merino and black silk, and it is in the colorway Waterweed, which was blues and greens and yellows, and I had 5 bumps of it, so I came out with approximately 20.5 ounces and almost 1,600 yards of luscious hand spun. It is super soft, it is super fluffy, and I cannot wait to knit a sweater with it. My original plan was that I would take this yarn and knit a sweater during Nanny Swamo, which is National Knit a Sweater Month. That is in November to coincide with NaNoWriMo, the National Novel Writers Month. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to wait that long. So you may see this get cast on sooner. I know it hasn't quite hit yet because it's still pretty hot here, but usually when we get towards the end of August and very beginning of September, even though it's still hot, I am all about the sweaters. So there is the possibility that you will see this sooner, but again, this is my primary project for Tour de Fleece. I also went ahead and spun several smaller skeins, and actually I don't have very many of them to show you. I'm going to show you a few pictures because technically some of them are sold already. So I believe I already showed you, let me see, I believe I already showed you the first one, which was Southern Cross Fiber. It was a club selection. And I believe I showed you the finished product, but that is that one. And I ended up calling it Shadows in the shop, and that sold actually before I left on vacation. It was beautiful tans and purples, and it reminded me of Shadows at Dusk, which is why I decided to call it that. The next one that I finished was Southern Cross Fiber. It was Fin, which is a slightly rough fiber, very good for socks. It was in teals and greens. It was called Horace the Cheese, and I ended up calling it Rusty Anchor. And that is that one that I finished. And that one actually has also sold and is gone now. But that was a fun spin. I did that while I was in Colorado, and there were lots of photos of that one. So the final skein for the tour that I managed to get in was a Southern Cross Fiber. It is Bond Merino and silk, and it was in the dragon fruit colorway, which is pinks and greens, and this is pretty color accurate. It came out beautifully. It is about 337 yards of a sport to heavy fingering weight, and it is luscious. You could definitely wear this near your skin. This is in the shop. It has not been claimed yet, so if you are interested in pinks and reds and pops of green, I think it's a little dark on this monitor. There are great pictures in the shop, so that one is also available to you if you are interested. So that is what I've been spinning. I don't have to show you what I was spinning this week because that is part of the review. So I will show you that I will save that for next week's podcast. When I finished the tour, one of the things that I had half a bobbin on the mini spinner, which I do have pictures of that. Let me see. Final. Okay, so this was the final shoot of everything that I spun minus one skein, and up at the top you can see that I am spinning some octarine and ginkgo for a pair of stripy socks for me. I have the other half of that fiber here. I'm not going to pull it out of the bag because it is kind of wound in the order that I want to spin it. I'm trying to sort of make matching socks. But as you can see, it is bright. This is Mega Sal fiber. It was from Spunky Eclectic. And so I am trying to spin a pair of chain ply socks for me. And I will be working on those. I will try and finish this week. So I have the first 3 ounces on there. This is the second 3 ounces. So that is what I will try and work on this week and have that to show you next week. And then I picked out a whole new bin of fibers to spin. So you will be seeing those as time goes on. And again, I'll have review fiber to discuss next week. So that brings me to the anniversary giveaways. I picked out a skein of yarn and a bump of fiber, and I will run this as usual. I will open a thread in the Ravelry group where you can leave a message. It can be anything. Tell me what you love about the podcast. Tell me what you'd like to see in the podcast. Just say hi, whatever you want. You must be a member of the Ravelry group to be eligible for a chance to win. But it is the 1-year giveaway. I will award these to 2 separate people, and the deal with the fiber is my same deal as always. If you would like the fiber to spin it, you are more than welcome to have it. If you would like me to spin it up for you, you can just let me know, and if you give me about a week, I will spin it up and get it out to you. So the first giveaway is a skein of Woolmise in pure, although this is back when it was called 100% Merino Superwash. It is a weird different skein, which means it was just a little bit off. It didn't quite meet her quality control, usually in terms of color, but I can see the label underneath it, and it is Verzobert, which is, or I'm probably butchering that. It is a beautiful color. It reminds me of mermaidy. It's blues and greens and purples, and it is not shimmery, but I almost feel like it could be almost like a mermaid color. It is one of my favorite colorways, and it hurts a little to part with this skein, but I wanted to do something really lovely to thank you all for tuning in. So you can enter to win this in the Ravelry thread. This will be one of the prizes going to one lucky winner. The second prize is a braid of fiber by 2 If by Hand. It is a superwash merino, so it would be fabulous for socks or whatever you want. It is in bright pinks and reds and greens, and it is just beautiful. It is called I'm Sorry. So this is the second prize. Again, you can win the fiber and take it home and spin it yourself, or have someone else spin it for you, or you can have me spin it for you. So those are the 2 prizes. I will leave the thread open all week, and I will close it and lock it just before I start my next recording, and we will use the random number generator. So those are the 2 prizes. I'm enjoying my year anniversary. And it has been super exciting to come and talk to you today. I actually figured today's would be a little bit longer than normal, but I guess I sped through things, so it's not super long. So I will thank you for joining me for the past year and for today. I hope that you have had a wonderful couple weeks. I have missed you all and missed podcasting, but I hope that I will not be skipping any more episodes soon. And until I see you next week with some new exciting things, I will say, as I always do, happy knitting, happy spinning, happy sipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye.